Ever wonder why your emotions seem to control you more than you control them? It feels like no matter how hard you try, those feelings of anger, fear, or frustration just take over. But what if there was a way to master your emotions, to remain calm and composed even in the most chaotic moments? The ancient Stoics held the secrets to emotional mastery, and in this video, we're going to reveal how you can use their wisdom to take control of your emotions and find true inner peace. Imagine being able to face life's challenges with unwavering strength, no longer rattled by things beyond your control. These timeless Stoic strategies will help you transform how you react to the world. Before we dive in, if you're ready to start mastering your emotions and live a more resilient life, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. Your support helps us bring more life-changing content to you. Stay with us until the end, because the last secret is a game changer. It might just transform the way you see yourself and the world around you. Ready to unlock the secrets of Stoic emotional mastery? Let's begin. 1. The power of perspective. Emotions can feel all-consuming, as if they have the power to overwhelm and dictate our reactions. We often feel like we have no control over how we respond to situations, especially when emotions are triggered unexpectedly. But the Stoics understood something crucial. Emotions are not inherent in the events that happen to us. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This means that no matter what life throws at you, the way you respond to it is completely within your control. Let's break this down. Imagine you're having a bad day. Your boss criticizes your work, your commute home is delayed, and when you finally get home, you realize you've forgotten to pay a bill. Most people would be upset, stressed, and maybe even angry. But if you follow Stoic teachings, none of these events are inherently bad or good. They're just events, neutral occurrences. The only thing that gives them emotional weight is the meaning you assign to them. This perspective shift is incredibly powerful. When you understand that you control the meaning of what happens to you, you start to realize how much emotional freedom you actually have. A criticism from your boss doesn't have to ruin your day if you choose not to take it personally. A delayed commute is just more time to think or listen to something enjoyable, and forgetting to pay a bill is a simple reminder to be more mindful. The Stoics teach that it's not what happens to us that upsets us, it's how we interpret what happens. The more you practice this shift in perspective, the easier it becomes to remain calm in the face of adversity. Over time, you start to realize that your emotional responses are not beyond your control, and you can choose peace, even in the midst of chaos. This is the first step toward mastering your emotions. 2. Detaching from negative emotions. When emotions hit, they often feel like they come out of nowhere. Anger flares up, frustration sets in, sadness creeps over you, and before you know it, you're caught up in a whirlwind of emotions that seem to have taken over. But Stoicism offers a powerful technique to help manage these overwhelming feelings: detachment. Detachment isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about creating space between yourself and your emotions so you don't get swept away by them. The Stoics believed that emotional suffering comes from allowing ourselves to be too closely tied to the outcome of events. By practicing detachment, you can observe your emotions from a distance, almost as if you were watching them happen to someone else. Let's say you're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. Your natural reaction might be frustration or anger. Your heart races, your mind starts to spin, and the stress builds up. But with Stoic detachment, you can pause and remind yourself that this situation, while annoying, isn't the end of the world. The traffic isn't something you can control, and stressing over it won't make it go away. So why let it ruin your peace of mind? You can choose to let go of the frustration, accept the situation for what it is, and redirect your energy towards something more positive. Maybe listening to an audiobook or practicing deep breathing. This ability to detach from negative emotions doesn't mean you suppress them or pretend they don't exist. Instead, you acknowledge their presence, but you don't let them dictate your actions or your state of mind. It's a practice that requires mindfulness and patience, but with time it becomes second nature. Detaching from negative emotions also helps you see situations more clearly. When you're not clouded by anger, fear, or sadness, you can make better decisions, communicate more effectively, and maintain your inner peace, even when external circumstances are less than ideal. This is how the Stoics mastered their emotions, and it's how you can start to master yours too. By practicing detachment daily, whether in small annoyances or larger emotional challenges, you'll gradually build emotional resilience. It's about recognizing that emotions, while powerful, are not all-powerful. You are in control, and with Stoic detachment, you can choose how much influence they have over your life. 3. Embracing discomfort for growth. One of the most important Stoic principles is the idea that growth comes from discomfort. We often spend our lives trying to avoid pain, discomfort, or anything that feels challenging. But the Stoics believed that by deliberately facing discomfort, we can strengthen our emotional resilience and develop a deeper sense of inner peace. Think about it. How many times have you grown from an easy, comfortable situation? Likely, not many. It's through challenges, through moments of adversity, that we truly expand our capabilities and learn what we're made of. The Stoic philosopher Seneca even advised practicing voluntary discomfort. This could mean fasting for a day, sleeping on the floor, or stepping out of your comfort zone in other ways. The purpose of this practice is not to make you suffer, but to help you understand that discomfort is temporary and doesn't have to control you. When you actively choose discomfort, you build your tolerance for hardship. It's like training a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets. When faced with unplanned difficulties, you'll be better equipped to handle them without falling apart emotionally. You'll be able to remain calm and collected because you've trained yourself to accept that discomfort is part of life, not something to run from. Embracing discomfort also changes the way you see setbacks. Instead of viewing them as obstacles, you begin to see them as opportunities for growth. Every challenge becomes a chance to prove your resilience and deepen your emotional strength. This is how the Stoics lived their lives, by welcoming discomfort as a necessary part of the journey towards self-mastery. 4. Managing anger with rational thought. Anger is one of the most volatile emotions we experience. It can flare up in an instant and cause lasting damage if left unchecked. Stoics viewed anger as one of the greatest obstacles to wisdom and peace of mind. They believed that anger arises from unrealistic expectations and a lack of acceptance of how the world works. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, described anger as a form of temporary madness. It clouds your judgment, makes you say and do things you'll later regret, and often leads to more harm than good. So, how can you manage anger in a way that aligns with Stoic principles? First, the Stoics teach that anger is often the result of unmet expectations. We get angry when we expect things to go a certain way and they don't. We expect others to behave in a specific manner, and when they don't, we feel wronged. But Stoicism encourages us to question these expectations. Why do we believe the world should bend to our will? Why do we expect others to always act in ways that align with our desires? The truth is, people and situations are unpredictable, and much of what happens is out of our control. By realigning your expectations with reality, you can reduce the frequency and intensity of anger. Accept that people will make mistakes, that life won't always go according to plan, and that setbacks are inevitable. When you approach situations with this mindset, anger loses its grip. You may still feel a spark of frustration, but it won't escalate into full-blown rage because you've prepared yourself mentally for the possibility of things going wrong. In the heat of the moment, the Stoics recommend a technique called the view from above. Imagine yourself looking at the situation from a bird's-eye view, seeing the bigger picture. From this perspective, many of the things we get angry about seem small and insignificant. This broader view helps to put things in context, making it easier to respond with reason instead of emotion. When anger does arise, the Stoics also advocate for a moment of pause. Instead of reacting immediately, take a deep breath, count to 10, or step away from the situation if possible. This simple pause gives you the time to engage your rational mind. allowing you to choose a thoughtful response rather than an impulsive one. Over time, this practice of pausing and reflecting will become second nature, helping you manage anger more effectively and maintain emotional control. 5. Letting go of fear. Fear is one of the most limiting emotions we experience. It holds us back from taking risks, trying new things, or even living life fully. The Stoics saw fear as a projection of the mind, a response to uncertainties about the future or things we can't control. To the Stoics, fear was not something to run from, but something to face head-on, knowing that most of what we fear is either exaggerated or entirely beyond our control. Consider what Seneca once said: "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This means that most of the things we fear never actually happen, and even when they do, they are rarely as bad as we imagine them to be. Fear, in many cases, is simply the mind playing tricks on us, making us believe that we are in danger when we're not. The Stoics believed that by confronting our fears, we strip them of their power. One of the key ways the Stoics dealt with fear was through what is called the premeditation of evils. This involves imagining the worst possible scenario, not to scare yourself, but to prepare yourself. By envisioning the worst outcome, you become mentally prepared to handle it if it does occur. You realize that even the worst-case scenario is something you can endure. This reduces the grip fear has over you, as it no longer feels like some dark, uncontrollable force, but rather something manageable. Fear often stems from uncertainty, fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of judgment. But the Stoics remind us that these fears are based on things outside of our control. You can't control what other people think of you. You can't control how things will turn out in every situation. What you can control, however, is your attitude and how you respond to uncertainty. By accepting that life is unpredictable, you free yourself from the paralyzing effects of fear. Another Stoic practice for overcoming fear is exposure. By gradually exposing yourself to the things you fear, you build up resilience. Whether it's public speaking, a difficult conversation, or stepping outside of your comfort zone, facing small fears on a regular basis helps you develop the courage to face bigger ones. Over time, you'll realize that what you once feared no longer has the same hold over you. Fear shrinks in the face of action. 6. Turning setbacks into opportunities. Life is full of setbacks. Whether it's a failed project, a broken relationship, or an unexpected challenge, setbacks can feel like the end of the road. But the Stoics saw setbacks differently. They believed that every setback is an opportunity for growth, a chance to practice patience, resilience, and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that obstacles are not barriers to your progress, they are the path itself. Every challenge you face is a stepping stone toward becoming stronger, wiser, and more capable. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, Stoicism teaches us to view them as necessary parts of our journey. Imagine you've been working hard on a goal, but you encounter a major setback. Maybe you lose your job, or a project you've invested time in falls apart. It's easy to feel defeated and think of the situation as a failure. But Stoicism encourages us to shift our perspective. Rather than seeing the setback as a dead end, view it as an opportunity. What can you learn from this situation? How can this challenge help you grow? What new path has opened up because of this obstacle? This mindset doesn't come naturally. It takes practice to train yourself to see setbacks as opportunities rather than failures. But once you start reframing these challenges, you'll notice a change in how you approach life's difficulties. Instead of being crushed by setbacks, you become energized by them, seeing them as opportunities for self-improvement. Stoicism also teaches that when setbacks occur, it's essential to focus on what you can control. You may not be able to control the fact that a project failed or a relationship ended, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to take it as a lesson and move forward with greater wisdom. By doing so, you transform setbacks into powerful opportunities for personal growth. 7. practicing gratitude to overcome envy. Envy is one of the most destructive emotions, quietly eating away at our happiness and peace of mind. We see what others have, compare it to our own lives, and feel a sense of lack. Whether it's someone else's success, possessions, or status, envy creates a toxic internal narrative. Why them and not me? The Stoics believed that envy arises from misplaced values, and the way to overcome it is by practicing gratitude and focusing on what truly matters. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, emphasized the idea that external goods, things like wealth, social status, and material possessions, are beyond our control and ultimately not the true source of happiness. Happiness, they believed, comes from within. It's not about having more, but about appreciating what you already have and finding contentment in the present moment. This perspective shifts the focus from external comparisons to internal satisfaction. One of the simplest and most powerful tools the Stoics used to combat envy was daily gratitude. By regularly reflecting on the things we're grateful for, our health, our loved ones, the small joys of life, we can change the way we perceive our circumstances. When you make gratitude a habit, it rewires your brain to focus on abundance instead of scarcity. Instead of constantly seeing what's missing, you start to see the richness of what's already there. For example, imagine seeing a colleague receive a promotion you were hoping for. The immediate reaction might be envy. Thoughts like, I worked just as hard, or I deserve that more. But practicing Stoic gratitude shifts the narrative. Instead of focusing on what you didn't get, you can remind yourself of what you already have. Perhaps a job that allows you to grow, or the support of a family who believes in you. Gratitude reframes envy into appreciation, and you start to realize that external achievements aren't the only measures of success or happiness. Stoicism also teaches that everything we envy, status, possessions, or success, are fleeting. They come and go. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the impermanence of life, reminding himself that material possessions and accolades don't define true happiness. What truly matters are the virtues we cultivate within ourselves: wisdom, kindness, self-discipline, and patience. These are the things that remain, regardless of external circumstances. Another useful Stoic practice is reflecting on the nature of others' successes. The Stoics encourage us to feel genuine joy for the good fortune of others, rather than let it breed envy. After all, their success doesn't diminish your own. This practice of sympathia, or interconnectedness, helps remind us that we're all part of the same human experience. Someone else's gain is not your loss, and their achievements can inspire you rather than detract from your own journey. By integrating gratitude into your daily routine, whether through journaling, quiet reflection, or simply taking a moment to appreciate the good things in your life, you can gradually transform envy into contentment. Envy becomes less about what you don't have, and more about appreciating what's truly valuable, the virtues you build, the relationships you nurture, and the peace of mind that comes from focusing on what's within your control. 8. Cultivating patience with life's challenges. In today's fast-paced world, patience seems like a rare virtue. We want things immediately: success, results, answers, and when they don't come as quickly as we hope, we often grow frustrated. The Stoics saw impatience as a source of unnecessary suffering. They believed that patience isn't just about waiting, it's about understanding the natural flow of events and accepting that some things are beyond our control. The Stoic approach to patience starts with adjusting our expectations. Impatience arises when we expect the world to operate on our timeline. We expect others to respond quickly, traffic to move smoothly, and plans to go without a hitch. When reality doesn't meet these expectations, frustration sets in. The Stoics remind us that life doesn't always go as planned, and that the natural course of events is often beyond our influence. Patience, then, is not about forcing things to go our way. It's about accepting the pace at which they unfold. Marcus Aurelius wrote often about the transient nature of life's difficulties. He reflected on how many of the things that upset us are temporary: a delay, a missed opportunity, or an argument. These things feel significant in the moment, but in the grand scheme of things they are fleeting. Reflecting on this impermanence helps us see that our frustrations are not as important as they seem. The Stoics encourage us to step back, see the bigger picture, and remember that most of the things that test our patience today won't even be remembered tomorrow. One powerful Stoic exercise to cultivate patience is called negative visualization. This involves mentally preparing for potential challenges before they happen. For example, before a meeting, imagine that it might start late or that there could be disagreements. By preparing yourself for these possibilities in advance, you reduce the emotional shock when they occur. This exercise doesn't make you pessimistic, it makes you realistic, and when things go better than expected, you appreciate them even more. Patience is also deeply tied to empathy. The Stoics believed that by understanding the struggles of others, we could develop greater patience. When someone frustrates you, instead of reacting with anger or annoyance, take a moment to consider what they might be going through. Maybe they're having a difficult day, or maybe they're dealing with personal struggles you can't see. By practicing empathy, you can soften your reaction and approach the situation with more understanding and calm. Finally, cultivating patience involves letting go of the need to control outcomes. So much of our impatience comes from trying to force things to happen on our terms. But as the Stoics teach, we don't control external events, only our responses to them. When you stop trying to control what's outside your influence, you free yourself from frustration and impatience. You learn to flow with life, accepting each moment as it comes. 9. Adapting to change with Stoic flexibility. Change is inevitable. Whether it's in our personal lives, our careers, or the world around us, things are constantly shifting. Yet for many people, change is a source of anxiety, stress, and resistance. We want things to remain familiar and predictable, and when they don't, it can throw us off balance emotionally. But the Stoics saw change as a natural part of life, something not to be feared, but embraced with flexibility and grace. The Stoic philosophy teaches that adaptability is one of the greatest strengths we can cultivate. Life will never stay the same, and by learning to flow with changes instead of resisting them, we maintain our inner peace. The key to Stoic adaptability is recognizing what we can control and what we cannot. You may not be able to stop change from happening, but you can control how you respond to it. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of accepting the impermanence of life. Everything is constantly in flux. People grow older, circumstances evolve, and what once seemed certain can change overnight. Fighting against this natural flow only creates suffering. The Stoics believed that instead of resisting change, we should work with it, adjusting our mindset and actions to align with the new reality. When you embrace this flexibility, you become more resilient, more capable of facing life's challenges without being thrown off course emotionally. Imagine you've planned out your life in a certain way. Perhaps you've been working towards a promotion or building a business. Then, suddenly, things change. Maybe the opportunity falls through or unexpected circumstances alter your path. In this situation, many people might panic, feel defeated, or cling to their original plans. But Stoic adaptability reminds us that while the path may change, your values and goals can remain intact. You may not reach your destination in the way you originally envisioned, but that doesn't mean you won't get there. One way to cultivate adaptability is through the practice of mental rehearsals. The Stoics would often imagine different scenarios in their minds, both positive and negative, and consider how they would respond. This isn't about being pessimistic, it's about preparing for the inevitable changes life brings. By imagining various outcomes, you train yourself to respond with calm and composure. No matter what happens, you build the mental flexibility needed to adapt to whatever life throws at you. Another powerful Stoic tool for embracing change is the concept of amor fati, which translates to love of fate. This means not just accepting change, but embracing it as part of your personal journey. It's about seeing every twist and turn as an opportunity for growth and learning. Instead of viewing change as something that derails your life, you begin to see it as the very thing that shapes your life. This mindset shift allows you to remain emotionally stable, even in the face of significant upheaval. Change can also serve as a reminder of our own strength. When you look back on past changes in your life, you'll likely notice that some of your greatest periods of growth came from moments of uncertainty or unexpected shifts. Each time you adapt to change, you become more resilient. You realize that no matter what happens, you have the inner resources to face it. This builds a deep sense of confidence that helps you navigate future changes with ease. Adapting to change with Stoic flexibility isn't about passively accepting everything that happens without action. It's about responding thoughtfully and strategically, making adjustments to your approach while maintaining your core principles. By doing so, you can weather life's storms with calm and clarity, remaining anchored in your values no matter how turbulent the waters may be. 10. The Stoic practice of self-mastery. Self-mastery is one of the cornerstones of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from mastering your own mind and emotions, rather than being controlled by external circumstances or fleeting desires. At the heart of Stoicism is the idea that while we cannot control much of what happens in the world around us, we can always control how we think, how we feel, and how we act. This is the essence of self-mastery, and self-mastery involves developing a deep awareness of your thoughts and emotions and learning to align your actions with your core values, rather than being led by impulses or external pressures. In modern life, we are constantly bombarded with distractions, temptations, and emotional triggers. It's easy to get swept up in frustration, anger, or desire without pausing to think. But the Stoics believed that the highest form of freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want, but the ability to govern yourself according to reason and virtue. One of the ways the Stoics practiced self-mastery was through the habit of self-reflection. Each day they would reflect on their actions, thoughts, and emotions, assessing where they had acted in alignment with their values and where they had fallen short. This practice of reflection wasn't about being self-critical or harsh, but about gaining insight into their own behavior and making conscious improvements. By consistently reflecting on your day, you can start to see patterns in your reactions and gradually take more control over your emotional responses. Another powerful tool for self-mastery is the practice of voluntary discomfort. The Stoics believed that by occasionally choosing discomfort, whether it's fasting, taking cold showers, or intentionally facing a fear, you build your resilience and self-discipline. This practice trains you to become less reliant on external comforts and more capable of enduring challenges. It strengthens your willpower and reminds you that you are in control of how you respond to discomfort, whether physical or emotional. Consider how many times we act impulsively because we're driven by momentary desires or emotions. Maybe we get angry and say something we regret, or we feel anxious and avoid a difficult task. Self-mastery is about recognizing these impulses and choosing a different course of action, one that is aligned with your long-term values rather than short-term emotions. It's about developing the discipline to act with intention, even when it's difficult. And for example, let's say you're in a stressful situation at work and your immediate reaction is frustration. Self-mastery would involve recognizing that frustration, taking a deep breath, and choosing to respond calmly and rationally. It's not about suppressing your emotions, but about not letting them dictate your actions. Over time, this practice of choosing reason over impulse becomes a habit, and you find yourself more in control of your reactions in all areas of life. Self-mastery also involves letting go of the need for external validation. So often, we are motivated by the desire for approval from others, whether it's praise, recognition, or status. The Stoics teach us to focus on internal validation instead. True self-mastery comes from knowing that you are living in alignment with your own values, regardless of what others think. When you no longer rely on external approval to feel good about yourself, you become emotionally invincible. You are guided by your own principles, not by the fleeting opinions of others. In the pursuit of self-mastery, it's important to remember that it's not about achieving perfection. The Stoics understood that we are human, and we'll make mistakes. What matters is the effort, the consistent practice of reflection, self-discipline, and intentional action. Each day is an opportunity to get a little closer to mastering yourself, to becoming more aligned with the person you truly want to be. Over time, this practice leads to a deep sense of inner peace and fulfillment, knowing that you are living in accordance with your highest values. By cultivating self-mastery, you gain the ultimate freedom, the freedom to choose how you live your life, how you respond to challenges, and how you shape your emotional landscape. This is the Stoic ideal of living a life of virtue, guided by reason and unaffected by external circumstances. Conclusion: the path to Stoic emotional mastery. Mastering your emotions is not about becoming cold or indifferent, but about gaining control over how you respond to life's challenges. The Stoics showed us that our emotional reality is shaped by our perceptions, and by changing how we think about events, we can take control of our emotional responses. From shifting our perspective and detaching from negative emotions to embracing discomfort and managing anger with rational thought, the Stoic path offers practical tools for developing emotional resilience. By letting go of fear, viewing setbacks as opportunities, and cultivating gratitude, we can transform the way we experience the world. Adapting to change with flexibility and practicing self-mastery over our thoughts and impulses, we gain true inner freedom. These Stoic secrets aren't about suppressing emotions, but about transforming them into sources of strength and wisdom. The journey toward emotional mastery is a continuous practice of mindfulness, discipline, and self-reflection. By incorporating these Stoic principles into your daily life, you can achieve a greater sense of peace, resilience, and purpose. Remember, it's not what happens to you that matters, but how you respond. And in that, you have all the power. Thank you for watching. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who could benefit from these life-changing Stoic principles. Together, we can all live more balanced, peaceful, and fulfilling lives.